Okay, hey everybody, it's Miss Guy, and we have arrived at session 13. And the focus of session 13 involves a case study analysis. So, the purpose of this particular session is to allow you to take a deep dive into the life, though fictitious, based upon real life experiences, of someone else and explore how they handle the diversity that they represent, and figuring out the day-to-day challenges that they have potentially faced. So again, you're going to take a deep dive into the case study of an individual that, although they are fake, they are rooted in real life experiences and people. So here's what we're going to do. Okay. You are going to go to page 29 and 30. That is the very end of chapter 1 of your text. All right. So if for some reason my page numbers are off, get to the end of chapter 1 in your text, and there is a section entitled Case Studies. And you may have noticed this section in other chapters as you have gone through the text this semester. All right, but the case study section at the end of chapter 1 introduces you to 3 characters, and you will see those listed. Okay, so you're going to look at the 3 characters and you're going to read about those 3 characters. What I want you to do is read through those 3 characters and decide which one you wish to study further. So for this assignment, you are going to choose one of those characters and you are going to do an in-depth analysis on that character. Now, I'll explain more on that in a moment, but let's talk about how you're going to decide which character to choose. There is not a right or wrong choice here. This is all up to you. So you may want to go about it in a few different ways. You may look at one of these characters and say, you know, I feel like I relate to that person. We have a lot of things in common. So maybe you want to do a case study on that person because you feel like you'll have a better understanding of who they are. Or maybe you look at one of those people and go, you know, I have absolutely nothing in common with that person. So this experience of reading about their day-to-day lives, leading a very different life from my own, may be eye-opening, and it may be great for me to really put myself in someone else's shoes and think about how they experience life. And that may be the person that you choose. Either way, totally up to you. Okay, so read the story of the 3 characters in the case study section at the end of chapter 1 and pick a person. All right. When you pick a person, okay, for this video, I'm just going to pretend that we've picked Michael, okay? So when you pick a person, you're going to click on that person's name, and voila, here you know what to do, right? You are going to make a copy of Michael's master document or of the master document that you selected, okay? So this will now be the assignment that you type into. So you will answer these questions about your character. You may not know all of this right off the bat just from reading chapter 1, okay? So you may have to dive a little bit deeper and circle back to these, all right? And then here are some aspects of the person's character that you're going to analyze. And then we have some chapter case study questions. I'm going to walk you through all of that in just a moment. The case study analysis link that you'll see at the bottom of session 13 is going to be the place where you submit your assignment. All right. So that will be the place that you submit. When you get into the case study, we'll talk about a little bit further about what you need to do for the case study. But for this, I just want to show you this here is where you submit. These three right here is just your avenue of getting a copy of your master document that you're going to type into. All right, so here's what you're going to do. You've selected a person. All right, well, all you've read about them is what is in the end of chapter 1. Every single chapter in this book ends with a case study section. So what you're going to do is you're going to now answer all the questions that you can answer about Michael based upon what you learned about him in chapter 1, and then you're going to start reading through. So you're going to flip to the end of chapter 2, and you're going to find your person's case study at the end of chapter 2. And you are going to read about that person's experience. And then you will see that I have already labeled out for you the case study questions that are at the end of chapter 2. Okay? And so you will then answer that question about what you have read at the end of chapter 2. You will do the same thing. You will go to the end of chapter 3. You will find your person. You will read their little excerpt about their particular experiences. You will answer the reflection questions posed in the text about that particular person's experience. You are going to do this for each chapter of the text. And then at the very end of the book, you will read their final entry that kind of summarizes their case study. And you will use that information to create your final reflection. So remember, as you are completing this, you may actually find things that you need to add up here to the top, okay? It's going to be really hard to do an in-depth character analysis of, for example, Michael, if you haven't read all of Michael's story. So you may decide that you can fill out a few of these just based upon what you read in chapter 1, but then you may find that as you're reading each additional chapter, you're learning more about the character. And then at the very end, when you have completed all of the reading about your character, you may be able to come back in here and be very specific, more in depth, and provide additional thoughts, ideas, and examples. Okay. So as you can see here, this is a pretty big chunk of an assignment. So I want to challenge you to make sure that you give yourself lots of time. This is a great assignment to chunk up. Just do a couple of chapters a day, maybe one chapter a day for, 10 days, or just visit with this assignment for 30 or 45 minutes once a day for 10 days. And at the end, you're going to have a massive, major, great, fantastic assignment. You are going to want to make sure that you give yourself plenty of time to get this done. Waiting until the night that this is due is not going to work for you. So make sure that you work along a little bit at the time and then really take a deep dive into the character that you have learned about. And remember, once you finish your character's case study analysis, you will then submit it in the case study analysis section in Moodle. Remember the 3 characters here, all this does is give you access to their document that you are going to make a copy of and type into. If I have confused you, or if you have any questions, or you have no idea what you're doing here, please send me an email and let me know what questions you have. We can have a Google chat. I can clear things up via email. But please, please, please make sure that you get started on this assignment well in advance of the deadline. And remember, Moodle and Google Suite items are all time-stamped and cataloged. So don't let this be a situation where you fib and say, I didn't have what I needed, or I couldn't click on whatever. Just remember that this is an opportunity for you to take a deep dive and analyze another person's diverse experiences. And some of this will take more than just a few minutes of you sitting down and getting an assignment done. This is supposed to be a really deep reflection, time invested, where you can kind of put yourselves in the shoes of someone else and figure out what life is like for them. All right, as always, I'm just an email away. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I hope you enjoy the time of stepping into someone's shoes and trying to figure out what life is like for someone else.